Welcome back, everyone. I have some new stories for you today. Here's the first one. The date that made me uninstall Tinder. I don't have great luck with dating apps. I'm 26 and most of the time it goes like this. I match with someone, I send a message, and either I get nothing back or the conversation dies after 2 replies. Every once in a while though, someone actually talks to me like a real person. That's what happened with this one girl. We matched and started chatting. Normal small talk. After a bit I asked her out for coffee and she said yes. We added each other on social media so it would be easier to plan. She took a long time to reply to messages, but I didn't really care much. I prefer talking in person anyway. We had to reschedule a couple of times because of her work. Eventually we landed on Saturday. Then she suggested we go for beers instead of coffee. I didn't think much of it and agreed. I got there early and grabbed us a table. When she showed up, the first thing she did was walk straight to the bar and come back with 4 beers. She put them down and said I could pay for the next round later. That already felt a little strange, but whatever. We started talking about work, hobbies, basic get to know you stuff. After a couple of beers, she casually dropped that she had another Tinder date in less than 2 hours with a girl. That caught me off guard. I didn't really know what to say, so I just kinda went along with it. She started asking about my experiences with dating apps. I kept my answers short. She, on the other hand, talked a lot. We went outside for a smoke. I barely smoke, but I went with her because I needed a minute to reset my brain. Then we walked to another bar nearby. I bought another round and she downed them fast. By then, she was clearly drunk. I'm bigger, so it took longer for it to hit me. She started talking about the girl she was meeting after me. She showed me her picture, asked me what I thought about her. I asked for advice about whether the girl was love bombing her. It felt like I was suddenly part of her pre-date strategy session instead of actually being on a date myself. She also told me she doesn't like dating guys much anymore because of bad experiences, including one time when a guy spiked her drink, so now she mostly goes for girls. After that, we left the bar and started walking in the direction of where her next date was supposed to be. That's when I finally asked why she even agreed to go out with me if she mostly wants to date women. She said I seemed really nice and polite, like a gentleman. She also pointed out that my profile said I was looking forward to meeting new people. I honestly forgot I even wrote that. Her profile said she was looking for a relationship, which I had taken seriously. She then tried to give me advice on how to talk to women better. I didn't really want that, so I just brushed it off. Eventually, we reached the area where her other date was supposed to happen. We hugged, said goodbye, and we went our separate ways. The whole thing felt a bit unreal, like, what did I just take part in? Honestly, I'm not even sure why I stayed after she told me she had another date lined up. If one of my friends told me that story, I'd probably say, why didn't you just leave? But in the moment, it didn't feel like a big enough deal to get up and walk out. I think I was more surprised than anything, and the beer didn't help with the decision making. After I got home, I deleted Tinder. The whole thing made me realize how strange these app situations can get. We barely talked after that. I planned to send her a message saying it was nice meeting, but I'm not looking for whatever that was. There was a time in my life when I considered these dating apps, and I'm really glad I didn't try using them, because later I learned that those are really bad from a male perspective. Like, the ratio of men to women is terrible, and in my opinion the whole idea is just a bit stupid. These apps make it seem like people are just parts of a list which you just shuffle left, right, and throw away. Pretty bad place to look for a relationship, in my opinion. If you're looking for some casual stuff, I reckon it works for some people. But from what I understand, it's mostly for those elite, very good looking people that it works well for. So yeah, I don't know, I'm not really much for the dating apps in general. Alright, let's move on. I love him, but he comes with a package. I've been with my boyfriend for almost 2 years now. We're both 25 and we are in a long distance relationship, living a few hours away from each other. Before I even met him, his mom and his sister moved in with him. Then later his brother moved in. Then his cousin too. It's a small house. His brother and cousin literally sleep in the living room. He feels responsible for all of them because his dad was never really around. During the week, he works out of town with his brother and cousin. Most weekends, he comes to see me. I live alone with my 2 dogs and 2 cats. I like quiet. I like my space. I work with my parents, so I already see them a lot. But outside of that, I choose when I want to be around people. That balance works for me. His family is the total opposite. They are together all the time. They wake up together, sit together, do everything together. No one really goes off on their own. At the start of the relationship, I would usually go to his place for the weekend. But eventually, I realized I don't want to spend every single weekend at his house because it drains me. There's no privacy, and I feel like I have to be on all the time. Then he wanted us to switch weekends. One at his place, one at mine. But when we didn't have a car, he would say he couldn't come because he had to take his mom and sister grocery shopping and they needed my car. When he finally got a car, this excuse didn't make sense anymore, but he still wanted to stay home with them. When he comes to me, we still feel like a couple. If I have a family thing and he wants to leave early, we leave. If he doesn't want to go, we don't go. We go home and it's just us again. When I go to his place, we're with his family the entire time. The only private space is his bedroom. And even that feels awkward because everyone else is in the living room all day and night. It feels wrong to just hide in his room and only come out to eat. He says I'm overthinking it. His mom still does a lot for him too. Laundry, cleaning his room, packing his work bag, making his food. One time she cleaned his whole room while we were gone, including my personal things that were left out. That made me feel uncomfortable, but to him, that's normal. She also texts him constantly when he's with me, asking what time he's coming home, even if it was just the weekend. Once he had 2 weeks off snow break, he stayed home 1 week and then came to me the second week. About 7 days into it, she texted asking when he was coming back, because it's been 7 days already. Sometimes I feel like our time together is being measured, like I'm borrowing him instead of dating him. We finally talked seriously about the future. His plan is to buy a bigger house near his mom's family and move everyone in. He wants me to live there too. I told him honestly I don't see myself living with his whole family. I want a life that's just us, our own place, our own routines. At one point, he liked the idea of moving out with me, but then he changed his mind. I'm pretty sure his mom reminded him of the original plan. So now he says he doesn't see himself moving away from his family, maybe living next to them but not far. I told him I don't see myself leaving my family or my town either. I tried explaining that this isn't about not loving his family. I do love them, they've been kind to me. This is about the kind of life that I want. I want privacy, I want independence. I want to feel like my partner and I are building something new, not like I'm moving into something that already exists. When I asked if he'd ever be open to living closer to my family or meeting in the middle, he said he wants to stay near his, and then he said everything with time, because he thinks I'll change my mind. I told him the truth. He's hoping I'll become someone different, and I'm hoping the same about him, and that's what scares me. I love him. He's a good man. He works hard. He cares about family, but I don't want to feel like I'm competing with his mom or stepping into her role. I don't want to feel like I come after everyone else. The way I see it is, some people prefer a life really tight with their family and staying together, while others prefer independence, going on their own. And unfortunately, those two people just don't really mesh together. I don't think that either lifestyle has something wrong with it, but it's just not good combining those two together. Alright. That's all I have for this one. Let's move on to the next one. I am trying not to overthink this. I started dating again a few months ago, and I met this girl I genuinely like. She's kind, funny, into her faith, takes care of herself, and I don't feel like I have to pretend around her. I can just be me. And recently I've been thinking about asking her to be my girlfriend. The only thing that's bothering me is her job. She's a bartender and has a bunch of regulars who are guys. From what she's told me, most of them are older, like in their 60s. Some of them buy her food, but a few of them have her phone number, and that's a bit weird to me. I don't have a problem with her working as a bartender. I respect that it's her job, and the food thing doesn't really bother me either. If someone buys her a meal and she eats, that's not a threat to me. I'm not trying to be controlling or act like she can't exist around other men. The phone number part though is strange, and how much access some of those guys seem to have. It's not just see you at the bar, it's outside of work. She's also mentioned that past boyfriends had problems with her job, which makes me wonder if I'm walking into something that's already been an issue before. At the same time, I don't want to be that guy who turns into a problem just because he feels slightly uncomfortable. Another thing I can't stop noticing is how often she tells me about men giving her attention. Not in a braggy way exactly, but it comes up a lot. Customers asking her out, her ex reaching out, old classmates showing up at her job, guys doing her favors. I don't ask about any of this, she just tells me. It'll come up when we are talking about our day or texting at night. And every time I kind of pause afterward and think, why is she telling me this? Maybe she's just being open. Maybe she's trying to show she's honest about what goes on around her. Maybe she wants reassurance. Maybe she wants a reaction. I honestly don't know. I just know it's always about men. She never mentions women being nice to her or co-workers doing something kind. It's always framed as male attention. It doesn't make me angry, but it does make me think. I'm not a jealous person by nature. I don't go through phones. I don't tell people what they can and can't do. I don't feel possessive over her. I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring something now that turns into a real issue later. I am also not sure where the line is between trusting someone and having boundaries. But I do think there's a difference between working in a flirty environment and letting sus people have personal access to you. Is this just the reality of dating someone in that kind of a job? Is this something that we should talk about before I ask her to be my girlfriend? I like her. I really do. I feel calm around her. I like how she treats me. I like how she talks about her values and her future. That's why this is bothering me more than I expected. But I don't want to walk into something with my eyes half closed just because everything else feels good. I'm thinking that part where you're mentioning that she's being honest about things that are happening around her. She's telling you a lot of stuff, even though maybe that's not exactly what you want to hear. To me, that's a good sign. But is it a bit weird to take all those favors from people from the bar? Some people really like to spend a lot of time at the bar, and then you end up seeing them a lot. Like, you're not just acquaintances, you kinda are friends. So yeah, I don't know. Technically, she's not really doing anything wrong. She's not giving you any other reasons to worry. So maybe that's all there is to it. Just trust and hope for the best, I guess. Alright, let's move on to the next one. How could she do this to me? I've been married for 5 years. We had our problems like any couple, but I believed we were a team. That changed over the last year, mostly because how my life started to look. For about 6 months, my days were split in two. In the morning, I went to my regular job, and in the evening, I worked on my startup. I was trying to build something better for our future, or at least that's how I saw it. Because of that, I didn't sleep too much. I was tired all the time, and honestly, not very pleasant to be around. I also knew I wasn't giving my family enough attention, and that bothered me. I kept telling myself this was temporary, and that once things settled, I would be more present again. One night, I was still at my startup office, late, and decided to call my wife. Her phone was busy, which was strange. A few minutes later, she called me back and said she had been talking to her mom because she had a bad dream and got scared. She said she needed to calm herself down by telling her mom about it. Something felt off about it. She had never done that before, at least not that I remembered. When I told her she could have called me too if she was scared, she flipped it around and said I never had time for her or the family anyway. That hit a nerve because part of it was true. I felt guilty, so I dropped it. After that, I tried to change. I cut back on my work a bit and started spending more time at home. I thought if I showed up more, things would improve. And for a while, it seemed calmer. Things were better. Then one night, I ended up reading her messages. I wasn't planning to, it just happened. What I saw didn't make sense at first, and then it did. She was having sexual conversations with another man. Not just flirting, but full-on explicit messages. What hurt more was how they talked about me. They joked about me and even made comments about how it would be easier if I wasn't around. From what I could see, they had already met twice and were planning to meet again. This wasn't new. It had been going on for about 7 months. 7 months of her living one life with me and another one with him. I didn't confront her right away. I didn't even know what to say. Part of me wanted to pretend I hadn't seen anything. Another part wanted proof, so she couldn't just deny it. I told her we should plan a small trip with the kids, just as an excuse to get her thinking about being away. While doing that, I secretly put hidden cameras in the house. I didn't feel good about it, but I wanted to know what was really happening when I wasn't there. Then, I went back to acting busy again. I told her I had to go out for work like before. I wanted to see what she would do. Not long after, she invited the man over to our house. Everything was recorded. Seeing that footage was worse than reading the messages. It wasn't just that she was cheating, it's where she did it. In our home. Around the same space where our kids lived. It made everything feel dirty and fake at the same time. After that, I took the evidence to her parents. I didn't want to deal with this alone, and I didn't want her changing the story later. I showed them the messages and the recordings. They were shocked. I thought maybe that would make her admit what she had done. Instead, she blamed me. She said I never paid attention to her and that this is what pushed her into it. What makes that hard to accept is that when the affair started, things between us were actually okay. For about 3 months before I got really busy again, we were getting along. We were in distance. We were talking. Now everything is a mess. The marriage feels like it doesn't exist anymore. I still see her, but it's not the same person I thought I married. I supported her when she needed it. I worked long hours for our family. I didn't go out cheating or living some secret life. I thought I was doing the right thing. The worst part though wasn't losing my wife. It's how small and stupid I feel. Reading those messages and seeing them joke about me messed with my head. I keep thinking about how long it went on without me knowing. I keep thinking about how normal things seemed on the surface while all of that was happening. Hold on a minute. Am I getting this right? You guys are still married. You haven't kicked her out and ended things. Cheaters are just the worst. I don't know. It's such a shit thing to do. And not only to your husband, but also you have kids. You are doing this to your whole family. The guy did go full CSI on her though, set up the cameras and everything to make sure she couldn't get away with it. But damn, that's terrible. And it seems like it affected the dude pretty badly mentally too, which is understandable. Jesus. I hope the dude can get back on his feet for his own sake and his kids. Alright, let's move on to the next one. The day I found out, I was almost on a list. This is something I randomly remembered recently, and I've never really told anyone about it. Back when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I had a small friend group. Through them, I met this guy called Brian. I only saw him once at first, because he mostly hung out with his own separate group of friends, but for some reason I developed a crush on him almost immediately. Months later, he added me on Snapchat. He didn't even remember who I was at first, so I had to explain how we had met. At that time, I was already in a bad relationship that was falling apart. I had actually liked Brian even before getting into that relationship, but I ignored it and stayed with my boyfriend. That relationship ended badly and left me pretty messed up emotionally. After the breakup, Brian and I started talking more. It felt easy, the conversations weren't forced, and he came off as kind, funny, and understanding. He wasn't trying to impress me, and I wasn't trying to impress him either. It just felt natural, like something that slowly grew on its own. We finally met again on campus, after weeks of talking. We were in different courses, so our schedules didn't line up much. But when we saw each other, it felt comfortable. Good vibes. One of my friends, Harry, was apparently close with Brian, but I didn't know that at first. I never really saw them together, so I didn't realize it. After Brian and I met on campus one day, we decided to hang out the next day. The same day, Harry and some of my other friends were about to go on their bikes. He asked me to come with them. I told him I was waiting for Brian because Brian and I had plans. Harry looked surprised, then started laughing. He said something like, "Brian? Really? Don't take him seriously. He's not the kind of guy you think he is." At the time, I didn't really get what he meant. I also knew Harry flirted with me sometimes, so I assumed he was just being weird about it. I brushed it off and went to meet Brian anyway. For a while, things continued like that. We hung out more. We talked constantly. It slowly started to turn into a situationship, but we never officially branded it as anything. He would tell me he needed me in his life. We used nicknames. It sounded like a relationship, but it wasn't one. The thing was, I don't really do these friends with benefits kind of things, especially after my last relationship. I was still in a bit of a bad spot mentally, but I did it for him. My feelings for him were obvious. Even his friends noticed. They would ask me if I liked him because of how I looked at him. I never actually confessed to him. I was scared of ruining the friendship. To me, having him in my life was the most important thing, but it hurt. A lot. He treated me like we were something, but I knew we technically weren't. I felt stuck in between. After a few months, I ended up hanging out with Harry alone. He had always respected boundaries and never crossed any lines. And that day, I finally went to him. Told him how bad my feelings for Brian had gotten and how mentally exhausting the whole situation was. I said I didn't want to feel this way anymore. Harry looked genuinely surprised. He said he hadn't realized I liked Brian that much. He said he could see how upset I was just from the way I talked about it. He told me not to get mad, but that there was something I should know. He said that Brian was a part of this group of guys who kept a certain list. I already knew what that probably meant, but I asked him to explain anyway. He said that these guys had a group chat where they talked about girls they had slept with, girls that they are currently messing with, or girls that they were trying to manipulate into something. Hearing that made my stomach drop. It wasn't even just about me, it made me angry for every woman involved. I asked him if my name was on that list. He said no, not yet, and that he didn't want it to be, which is why he was telling me. I didn't ask him to show me the list. Looking back, I probably should have, but at the time I just felt gross about the whole thing. After that conversation, my view of both of them changed, Brian especially, but Harry too, for even being involved with something like that. Suddenly a lot of things made sense. Brian always had tons of female friends. His phone was constantly lighting up with Snapchat notifications from girls. I had seen him send pictures of himself to different women, the kind of pictures you usually send only when you're flirting. I never confronted Brian about the list. I didn't have the energy for a big scene or an argument. I just slowly pulled away. I replied less, I stopped making plans, and I stopped emotionally investing. Eventually, I cut contact with both Brian and Harry completely. I don't even know what to say about this one. It's just weird, no? I can kind of understand guys being competitive about girls, but this is just taking it to a whole new level. It's a bit messed up in my opinion. I would say she made a good call, getting out and just getting away from them. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Small world. I was standing in a line waiting to get into an event and it was moving really slowly, so I started talking to the person next to me just to kill time. After a bit, the conversation went to about where we were from. Turns out we were both from the same hometown, even though we were now about 200 miles away from it. That already felt like a coincidence, so we kept talking and trying to figure out if we knew any of the same people. We went back and forth naming places and people until she mentioned her mom's name. It turns out her mom worked as an assistant at my father's company years ago. At that point, she laughed and said she had to text her mom about this random meeting. A few seconds later, her mom texted back and asked if she could send her a photo of me. That felt kind of weird. I mean, why would her mom want a picture of some dude her daughter met in a line? But I figured, what the hell. So she took a quick picture of me and sent it. Her mom replied almost right away and said, "Oh, he's just as handsome as his father was." Now that made things really weird. I didn't know what to say to that, and the woman next to me didn't know what to say either. We kinda just laughed awkwardly and changed the subject. Later that night, I called my sister and told her the whole story. I told her about meeting this woman in line, how her mom used to work for dad, and even gave her the names of the mother and daughter. There was a long pause on the phone. Then my sister said in a really serious voice, "That was the woman dad had the affair with." Whoa. Whoa is my reaction as well. And yeah, indeed, I guess it is a small world. Jesus. Alright, that's all I have for today. Until next time, see ya.